We're just gonna we're just gonna chat, man. I guess I should do like an intro. I'm just sitting here with Chinedu Unaka.
Yeah.
Comedian, actor, writer, producer, slash.
Yeah. You know, people don't know, man. I play a lot of ping pong.
Ping pong
In college, a long time ago.
Oh man, well,
Let's talk about that. No, let's not. Yeah.
That brings me to like a good starting point. Oh, also I should say we're at the Don Arts Academy.
Yeah.
In Toronto's East End. It's a great spot that's popping off right now. Focus on comedy, acting, writing, and dance.
Yeah.
You got a show here tonight?
Yeah, show here tonight, man. Super excited. It's a really dope space. You know, the crowd should be great, man. So I'm excited.
And it's part of your, it's the Time Well Spent tour?
Yeah, Time Well Spent tour. Just when the strike happened with like acting and writing, I was like, cool, it's a good opportunity just to get out there more.
Okay.
Solo, so kind of put that together. I think I wrap it up in like May.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it'll be a while. And where do you go after this?
After this, Indiana, then I go to Dubai for a show, and then I think I have one more in I'm gonna get the city name, Tacoma, Washington. Yeah.
So that should be cool. Florida?
That's like Washington area.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Washington State, not DC.
Okay. Yeah. And so you are from Los Angeles?
Yeah, born and raised.
Nigerian parents?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
They moved from Nigeria to Los Angeles?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I've got a couple friends who are Nigerian. One's an actor, and I know his father wasn't like super stoked about him going into the business. He made him become like a rocket scientist pretty much first.
Yeah.
How are your parents supporting you when you decide you wanted to pursue?
My dad was like pretty supportive, just in terms of like didn't try to change my mind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They both were like supportive in terms of like, oh, this guy actually has talent.
Right.
Like, they would see me, I would like host these like Nigerian weddings.
Okay.
I would like perform at like these like Nigerian graduations.
Right.
But I was still in grad school. I was still doing like traditional things.
Mm-hmm.
So they just took it as like, oh, he does this thing for fun, you know? Not realizing like I'm actually like falling in love with this art and I like really enjoy myself. So my dad was always cool when he could tell I was serious about it by not trying to change. My mom was very much like, I don't want you to do this, you know. She was very adamant about it, but she's came around. Anytime I book something cool, I don't tell her as like punishment.
Right.
I let her find out from her friends. Oh, I saw. Why didn't you tell me you was on the?
Yeah, wait till they see it and the word gets around.
You didn't want me to do it. Yeah.
And so you went to grad school.
Mm-hmm.
And what'd you study?
I was special education.
Special education.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got a master's after that, is that right?
Yeah. So the master's in special education, and then undergrad was sociology, and I minored in education.
And then so were you writing and performing stand-up that whole time as well?
Yeah, the whole time. Yeah, my first time on stage was in college, and that kind of continued while I moved back to LA for grad school while I was teaching at the same time.
Okay.
Yeah.
And talking about the slashes, how important do you think it is for individuals coming into the business, into the entertainment world, film and television, comedy, to have those slashes, to wear different hats, to sort of diversify their talents?
I think it helps because on two fronts. I think on one of them, it's a way to kind of attract representation too. Yeah. As I think agents and managers, they want to work with people that are constantly like trying to improve and learn and just do things on their own, right? The other side of it too is it's one way to kind of get more eyes on you, right? Yeah. Instead of constantly waiting for an opportunity. I think what's really hard for actors, if you only act, you just audition, I think it's a really tough profession to just go about it that way. Mm-hmm. But I think if you're doing stand-up, or if you're like producing a short film, or if you're also writing, or if you're also whatever, just doing something else so where you have a creative outlet.
You become a brand that way.
Yeah, you can sustain yourself. Yeah. You could actually like do something, you're getting to see something from beginning to end that you created, that you love, while you wait for more opportunities to come through the door. Yeah. So it just keeps you lively, keeps you from feeling like desperate, things of that nature,
And how do you find So you're somebody who also, you write your own stand-up, and I'm sure you develop ideas and projects as well. So how do you find it when you are just auditioning for something or pursuing an acting role? How do you find making that transition from having total control over the product, being a comedian, where it's all yours and you have control, to having very little control over an acting job or over a role that you've been, booked for?
Yeah, I think what helped me personally is just having different experiences where I either had to work in a team environment or where I was just an employee,
right?
Or I'm just being contracted out. So, I've been on basketball teams, I'm part of a fraternity. I've been a president of my fraternity. I've been a teacher. I've been a part of different things that help mold you as a human to where you can kind of work in any environment. I think one of the most important things for acting is just to have human experiences, because you're playing humans. So the more experiences you have, you can pull from to kind of like develop the character and understand what exactly the mission is,
To know how to be that sort of base hitter or whatever. Yeah. Be like, hey, they need a singles guy right now. Yeah. Versus being, the guy that's hitting for the fences every.
For sure, man. Because it's just not, it's just not the stuff on camera, right? It's the stuff that matters also off the camera, right? How you're treating people.
Fully.
You know what I mean? Showing up on time. Yeah. Showing prepared. All those different things matter to just making things run smoothly and. Just kind of creating a resume and, just people knowing of who you are and what you're going to bring. You're not bringing chaos. Yeah. Just come here to do your job.
No, there's a big part of that, the side of acting, which is like being having the artistry down, but then also being like sort of technically proficient, being somebody that knows how what they need, what the story entails, how to run, how the set runs and stuff like that, and being able to sort of to hop in there.
I think too is like on the other part of it is like, I think if like an actor that tries to understand writing, right, and where the writer is coming from, I think it makes you a better actor. Yeah. Oftentimes, I think when you're like writing something, the best way to write is to like take the fat out, right? Always, like try not to waste any words. But I think as an actor, sometimes what's important for actors is just kind of put some of that fat back in. Fully. Because that's human.
Yep. Because you can't put it on the page. The writer doesn't have the room to put everything on that page. Right. And that's literally what they're hiring the actor for, is to come in. And put that back in there.
You decide.
Make it lit, bring it back to life and stuff like that.
For sure.
And you bring up an interesting point there, which is story, which is something I talk a lot about and focus on myself, which is like knowing the genre of the film and knowing the story and knowing what your characters, what you're serving the story, what your sort of job is on it. In the audition process, when you're auditioning, do you, and say it's for a more comedic role, how much do you try and like, will you be loose with the dialogue in it? Will you try and inject a lot of your humor into it? Will you change up the cadence of the writing a bit to fit sort of Chinedu's sort of flavor?
Yeah, I think for me, one of the tougher parts, right, of like auditioning for comedy pieces was as a stand-up, I was so used to hearing immediate feedback. Yeah. So you can say something hilarious in the room, but they're not supposed to be laughing. They're just watching you. So I really have to get used to that. Yes. You're not doing a bad job. Yeah. It's just I was so used to hearing something. I was so proud to say this line. Yeah. So, but to get back to the question, I think yes. Initially, when I first started, I was in a class, and the class was very much like, I would like try to add some extra stuff here and there, some extra pizzazz. And I remember I had a teacher that was very much like, Chin, that's great, but just stick to the words. I'm telling you, don't change the words, don't change the words. I was like, cool. And I kind of went about it that way, the audition process that way. But I just wasn't having fun. Yeah. Because you'll do something, and I'll have these great ideas come to me, and I will push it down and just stick to the words. And then, I'll turn it in. I don't hear anything back, which is normal. Yeah. Whether you did a good job or not. Sometimes it's not about what you did. And I was like, man, I'm really not having fun with this because I'm not being like doing the extra stuff I want to do. So I got to a point where I was like, you know what, F it. I'm just going to turn it in the way I want to turn it in. And if they like it, cool. If they don't, whatever. It's like, I'm still not going to change. I'm not changing the story. I'm not changing the character. I'm just, if I feel like I want to add a little something or change a little something because I feel like it'll just add to it, then I'm gonna do it. Yeah. And I think I realized too, it was like some of that imposter syndrome I think some people go through, where I was being invited to these rooms because I was a really good stand-up comedian.
Right.
I didn't go to Juilliard, all these different things, right? I've been to acting classes, but like outside of college, I don't have an acting degree. And so I had to like kind of get past that. It's like, bro, but you put in just as many hours, if not more, crafting yourself as a comedian, which matters. And that's why you're here. And they're bringing you here because you're a comedian, because of your mind.
Yeah.
So for you to not to allow yourself to use some of that, you're actually not doing yourself a favor.
Yeah.
You know,
I
so
think that's vital for comedic performing or just for acting in general, is that you need to be able to bring a big portion of yourself to it, because that's what's gonna, make it come to life. You're not trying to be somebody else. You're being yourself in that scenario and sort of imagining that. I had the privilege of doing a series with for a handful of years with Tom Fontana and Barry Levinson. And Tom Fontana created like Oz for HBO and Homicide: Life on the Street before that. And I had this conversation with him about, writing and how much they have the character in mind or changing it. And he was like, when we write the pilot, we have an idea of the character in mind, but then we're looking for somebody to come in and then build on that and take it to another level. And like, so he was somebody, they don't care about verbatim or about coming in. They're like, come in and play the scenario and the story real as you and bring life to it. And that's what's going to get, producers and directors and writers excited about hiring you.
Yeah, oftentimes that scene or script, like kind of what you're saying, it's like a skeleton. Yeah. You put the meat on the bones, man. Show us who this person really is. We have an idea. Yeah. Right? But we still need help dressing him. We don't know what he wears. We don't know what's his speech pattern. Yeah. Come show us, Now,
have you ever had this scenario where you do a tape, you get booked off of it, in the tape, you really played around, you made it your own, and then you get out there and they want you to do it as written?
Yeah. That happened to me with a project, and I went crazy in the tape, right? I low-key I posted the audition for a whole different role. I do that role, I do whatever I want. They like, yo, that was great. They give me a bigger role to audition for. And I was like, look, I'm gonna apply the same, strategy. I just kind of be very playful, turn it in, I book it. I get on set, I'm thinking like, all right, okay, cool. I gotta make sure I bring all this in. They're like, all right, actually, he's very stoic. He's not doing much at all. And like, just give us the words. Yeah. I'm like, yeah. I'm like, they're like, yeah. I'm like, all right, cool. Yeah. So I do it, after like, we do like 4 takes. So like the last day, like, I'm gonna stink some stuff in there, So I still stuck some stuff in there. But also I think too, sometimes on set, if you do have something brilliant you want to do, I would say it's better not to ask. Right. Just do it. Yeah. Do it first. If you ask, they might just try to be moving a day along. Yeah. Especially if it's like on this 4th season, 5th season, it's like they have a formula. But just do it. Yeah. Versus asking, because they might just be like, oh, let's just stick to the script. Or the director might be, he might be his first episode. He's just, So do it if it hits, if you really believe in it. Because I'm only bringing something that's fire. I'm not bringing something like, oh, maybe it'll hit, maybe it won't. He was like, I tried it. Like, I feel like it's really going to hit. I feel like it's okay to do. But if you don't feel comfortable, then stick to the lines.
Well, a lot of that, I think, too, I talk to young actors these days a lot about improvising for yourself versus improvising for the character and the story. And I feel like sometimes people will go in there and they're like, I'm going to show how funny I am. And they're going to be like, I'm going to make this joke because it's funny, but it's outside of the world. Yes. Versus like making a joke that's inside the world that's based on a natural reaction. I've personally found that those, they never say no to those.
It's kind of like, I was telling my friends, when my friends was talking about like being in the classroom. And people used to get mad at me because I would like crack hella jokes in the class, but I never got in trouble. Right. There was 2 reasons for that. One, I was doing my work still. Right. But then also my joke was about what we were learning. So the teacher didn't mind it. That's it. I was in the story. Yeah. You're cracking jokes about something completely off topic, Yeah. And so that's how I was always able to get away with it, because I would crack jokes about what we're in, Yeah,
because it's still moving the conversation forward.
It's still moving the conversation. I'm not doing nothing,
No, that's good. It's funny because, going back to that, asking for forgiveness rather than asking for permission. Yeah. Have you found that, so when you like to improvise a bit, and when you do something, do you do it on your coverage, or do you do it in the blocking sort of rehearsal?
I kind of wait for my coverage. I'll kind of give them a clean take. I'll give them the clean one, and if I get a second one, I'll do it. Or might even get permission. They might say, all right, let's play a little bit.
Yeah.
And I'll pay attention to like our other actors are playing. Now I'm really feeling confident I can do this.
The culture is different on every set.
Yeah. But sometimes the culture might be different for the stars than it is for someone who's just a day player. You know, you're just doing a guest role, your guest star and recurring whatever. So it might be different rules, you know? And you got to like understand how to understand all the politics of what's going on in the room while you're still trying to serve your character. You know, is this director's first time? Is it very established director? Is it director's loose? Whatever. Any little information you can find. But still, I would say just go for it. Yeah. It's not a big deal. I think most people don't care as long as like what you're saying is still within the realm. It's not just some random thing you just wanted to yell out, you know? Yeah.
No, it's funny when you talked about Wine That Laugh After. There's a comedian I did a series with named Scott Thompson. He was part of Kids in the Hall. I don't know if you know Kids in the Hall. I
don't think I've seen it.
They were a sketch comedy. They just did, they were big in the 80s and 90s, started on HBO. They were, well, I won't tell you about Kids in the Hall, but they just did a new season on Amazon too. They were Lorne Michaels' project as well. And I did this show with Scott, and Scott's a very big comedian. And he was always adding a line at the end of every scene. And the show was kind of this dark comedy because he was trying to make the crew laugh because he couldn't exit the scene without not on laughter, right? And he was like, I'm like, dude, you gotta stop doing that because it's way funnier to play like that quiet moment, that down moment, like at home, that's what people are gonna laugh at. But yeah, he had a hard time leaving stage without, you know, the crew. The boom. Yeah, he wanted that, and he wanted that boom mic operator to move. Exactly.
And oftentimes, like, we can't even keep it.
No, exactly.
Because the background is laughing. You know, and they're not supposed to be hearing this conversation.
No, you bring up a good point too about the directors too. I think a lot of people don't realize, especially in television, that these directors are hired almost in the same capacity an actor is. It's like to come in and be able to get it done versus working on like a feature film, you know, where it's sort of their baby a bit more and they have more room
leeway.
To play. I got a couple little notes here. So have you been in many table read situations? I know they're a lot less common these days.
You mean like after booking something, or
you
just
book something and then you're at the
let's do
table
a table read? Like one or twice. They're usually pretty chill, but you do kind of, especially if you're like new to the group, you do kind of want to be as prepared as possible. So you can still, you know, kind of be in it, because you'll see some people at the table read, they might be even ad-libbing at the table read, and that happens sometimes.
So that's what I was going to ask you about. Do you ever use that as an opportunity to ad-lib or try and infuse some humor? Or?
Yeah, if that's where like people are going, I'll do that. And especially if it's like something that's funny, could even add life to the table read, because sometimes you can kind of feel like we're just going through the motions. Just kind of just like wake everybody back up. I think that's perfectly fine. But nothing that's too crazy, because oftentimes it's just more of like, we just need to hear this out loud.
Yeah, because that's oftentimes for the writers. So. When you did House Party, was there a table read for that?
No, for me, no. I'm sure for them.
Yeah, for them there was. And what about Abbott Elementary? Did they do a table read for that at all?
For me specifically, no.
No.
Yeah, I just come in, it's like, boom, game time.
They're doing it.
You know what I mean? Which is also kind of nerve-wracking, right?
For sure.
It can be, but you just like once again, is if you're thinking about the job, or if you're thinking about everything else except for what this guy wants in this scene right now, you're not thinking about acting in that moment.
Right.
You know what I mean? So if you just make it about the character and what's going on, and that's all you care about, then when they all cut, you can think about other stuff. But as soon as action, it's just, I'm just whatever this guy wants, that's all I want, and I'm out of here.
And what about, are you working to create any of your own sort of scripted stuff right now? So that's like one of my big goals is just to continue to develop, try to pitch, and try to get stuff on air, because just have that creative control, you know, about the message, etc., will be super important for me. And well, I think you're on the right track as far as, I think, being a stand-up and getting the rounds out there and creating a brand of your humor. I think that really helps. It does when it comes to pitching projects and stuff like that.
I think like maybe just for anybody that doesn't do stand-up, I think really it's just about, it's so much, social media has blew everything up, which is great. So it's really just about like putting your own stuff out there, and you know, making sure you're proud of it, and it represents you, and don't be a perfectionist. Put something out, take the notes, and then, you know, put something else out.
Do you find it hard now with social media because your content gets out there and flies around so much that there's more pressure for you to create more content, to write new jokes more frequently?
I think it can be, depending on what the goal is. You know, if it just really depends, because I've been in shows. I used to hate as a comedian when I'm on stage. I could be in front of 300 new people, but I see two people that like seen these shows before. I'm like, oh, why are you here? But you got to kind of get over yourself and just realize you always want to be put it out new, but you still want to be able to like give people, you know, opportunities to see some of the great stuff that they haven't seen. You know, I'm not famous, right? So it's like, there's always going to be a lot of people that haven't seen some of the stuff I put out, and, you know, to give them some of that while I'm still, you know, writing new is important. But yeah, I think social media has added another element where it's like, wait, 1 million people saw this joke? You know what I mean? Like,
do I still do it?
Can I do it? You know, but it's like, yes, you can do it. And a lot of people come to see that joke. I want to see it live.
It's like your hit song.
Yeah, it's almost like a trademark now, you know. And I always felt like as comedy, I thought the art form was the hardest, because when I go to a music concert, I'm always hoping they do the old songs. I want to hear the song. I want to sing along. But in comedy, I always came from the mindset of like, oh, I hope they do something new, something I never heard before. And I feel like I always felt that kind of like on my shoulder, like talking to me, like, which is good because it keeps you writing. But there are people, I've got it off stage for like, why you didn't do that one joke? I'm like, oh, you know, I've been doing it for a while. Oh, I really want to hear that one joke. Shit. People actually don't mind hearing it at least maybe 2-3 times, you know?
And now when you're, are there any sort of like, I've got some friends who are comedians and they talk about sort of like their foundations of a joke, like what their approach to, you know, to writing a joke. I know one of them talks a lot about, you know, the theatricality of a joke, and talks about, you know, the sincerity of a joke and stuff like that. Are there anything is there sort of like a checklist that you use in your head when you're writing a joke, or something that you look for in it that you're like, okay, I know this fits into my formula that works?
I think it's interesting. I think for me, I kind of just like live my life and I let like the jokes come to me. So I'm always like kind of saying like funny things just throughout my day, just having conversations with people, whatever, or just really talking to myself, you know, things I see, and I'll jot it down, or like I'll do a voice memo, where if I feel like there's not really like a punchline here, just the way I said it was so funny, you know, and then from there, I'll like sit down at a coffee shop one day and like develop it, you know, make it, okay, cool. Now I got to decide, is this like a beginning of a set joke, an end of a set joke, or this will be better connected to like a joke I have already. And then I also write on stage, where I'm at the point now where I'm super comfortable, so I could be doing stand up with a joke I've done before, but I'm allowing myself to be loose, and whatever happens in the moment, I just go with it. But I'm recording my set, and then I'll watch it back, like, oh, that actually hit, or the way I said it this time works way better than saying it this way. And I kind of just make mental notes and different things like that. So that's kind of how like I build up, and I might have things I want to touch. Okay, cool. Because before I even started stand up, I used to do poetry, and so I have these moments where I'm just like seeing things and just how I see the world, and I'll write it down. It's like, okay, cool. I don't know the joke around this, but I know I want to talk about this. Like, this is what I'm seeing, and those jokes stay harder to get right because it means something to me. So I wanted to like, every word is important now versus just a silly joke. You know what I mean? I love those jokes too. I like the balance of it. But I do have jokes that like, okay, I'm actually trying to say something here, and those jokes takes a little more time. Because
I guess when you have something that's structured like that on the page, that is that play on words, it's harder to sort of have that spontaneity of the live performance to make that sort of feel like fresh necessarily, you know, in front of an audience or whatever. That might have a different vibe.
When it's a touchy topic, I think the more controversial the topic, or the more like the topic might hit close to home for people, I think the more important every single word becomes. Because I'm not really here to try to make people pissed off. So I always have good intentions with what I write. So I don't want the intention to be misconstrued because I missed a word. You know what I mean? And it still might be. And that's okay. But as long as the way I wanted to deliver it is there, I'm okay with how you feel about it. You know, as long as I, said about what I wanted to say, how I wanted to say it.
Do you have somebody that you work with as like a director, or as like outside eyes when you're doing your special or something, or anything like that, or is it?
Not so much. Well, not in terms like I haven't like taped. I do like, these like 10-minute specials for like different companies sometimes. So not really so much, but yeah, for me, it's like really just like my eyes is on my jokes. I'm like, I think the relationship between the comedian and the audience is like very like reciprocal, right? Where the audience will kind of tell you when it's time to move on in some ways, or if maybe you should like bleed the moment a little bit more because they were really liking the joke, or maybe like I left a lot of meat on the bone. I think I should actually build this joke even more.
Right.
So I'm very like in tune with the audience, where like a lot of shows, it could be the exact same set, but they feel very different.
Right. Because
this is where I was, right? This audience is only 15 people here. So I sat down and we just chilling. Versus like I did 2000 theater. Okay, cool. I'm still performing it, but it's a different vibe,
And how long is your set for the Time Well Spent tour?
I do an hour.
Hour?
On stage. Yeah.
And how much of that is that all material that you've written sort of since the strike? It's all.
No. It's some stuff before. It's some stuff from my album. A lot of stuff has been since the strike. There's some stuff I might have whatever experienced that day, depending on how I feel.
What's the oldest joke that you've got going that's still?
The oldest joke I still do?
Yeah.
What's my oldest joke? I have so many jokes I just don't touch no more. Maybe I have this one joke about, what's my oldest joke probably right now? It has to be maybe my name. Yeah, the joke about my name.
Which one is that?
It's just about how like, it's like a made up thing, but how I almost had to repeat kindergarten twice because it took me too long to spell my name, my full name. It's not really a true story.
No, but
I do like remember dreading the teacher saying my name for the first time,
right.
And like how I felt in those moments, or when we had a sub. I'm thinking I'll have a good day today. I walk in the room, it's like, oh fuck, it's a sub. And they still want to try. Ooh, this one's good. And I always try to remember the person before me in roll call, so I could just scream out my name.
Right before,
like, I'm here, and they still want to say it. So it's kind of around that.
Yeah.
I even named my comedy album Mostly Kidding, because that kind of represents my comedy. Like a lot of my comedy is based in truth, but has been exaggerated to entertain the audience. So it's a lot of it is based like the Starbucks bit about that, the same name joke.
Right.
It is like when I go to Starbucks, they used to mess up my name, and then I started using Chris. So that's very much true.
Yeah.
But then I'll build a story around it. That's probably happened.
I think that's a big part of comedy, though. I think that adds to the theatrical, dramatic sort of element to it. You take the kernel of a truth and an idea, and then
you gotta make it funny for the stage.
Yeah, build that world around it. Yeah, man. Well, it was nice sitting down and just chatting with you. I'm just trying to think if there's anything else that we should cover. Anything you want to talk about, man? They're gonna cut this all up. So, yeah.
I'm trying to think. I don't know. I would say. I don't know. I would just say just start. You know what I mean? I think a lot of people overthink things too much, and they want to be perfect early. I think just whatever it is, no matter what it is, just start and just find out if you love it. I think that's big. Like somebody reached out to me recently. I got a DM like, any advice on acting? I was like, take classes.
Yeah.
Take classes. Make sure you actually like the art form and not what you hope comes from it. Because I think a lot of people want what comes from it, not actually what it is,
For me personally, it's been the last 5 years just enjoying the process.
Yeah.
Because it was always about the outcome, right? It was always about, okay, when I'm on set, it'll be, it'll be good when I got the job. The audition process was something I stopped enjoying, especially when, since pandemic, when it became, I'm doing this in a vacuum. I'm no longer going out and seeing casting face to face. It was like, okay, I have to really look at that part as my job, the preparation, and enjoy that part, and then look at the booking or the performance side of it as a bonus.
Yeah, facts, man. I think you hit the nail on the head. I remember I wrote this. I sometimes like I said, I used to write poetry. So I don't write poetry no more. Every now and then, like these quotes come in my head, right? This one quote I say, if you want to catch the dreams that you follow, like you must enjoy the chase. You can find a way to enjoy the chase, you will eventually get there. Because if you don't enjoy the chase, you're one of the guys like, it's just, you know, you're miserable, but you're like, once I get this thing, I'll be happy. And you get it, you realize, oh, I actually want something else damn near a month later, if not an hour later.
Well, because in the chase is 90% of it.
It's 90% of it, bro.
And that 10%, you can't live off 10%.
Yeah.
You know, the happiness. Now, I remember booking my first, it was a comedy series, and I was like the number 2 on it, and I was like, this is what I wanted.
Yeah.
And the show was not fun to be on. It was not enjoyable.
Oof, that's a tough work.
Yeah,
bad working
and it
environment.
was like, you know, it was 3 months of shooting this show, and I wasn't enjoying myself. And I was like, this is what I was so unhappy wanting to get, and then I was still unhappy there, and I was like, I gotta, you know, rethink,
rewire it.
Yeah.
You gotta just be happy now. Happiness is like, it's a choice, really. Everything else is just icing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The job can't be the cake. Everything else got to be icing. You just got to find a way to be happy now, whatever that is. You know what I mean? So you just got to figure that out.
No, man, that's good advice. That's good advice. Something else just came to mind too, like for young people as they're trying to develop, you know, go down that road. Did you feel like you had your voice as a comedian kind of right away, or was that something that you feel like you found sort of your cadence, what jokes worked coming from you?
Yeah.
You know, did that take you some time?
Yeah, I think it took some time. I think it's like you can know who you are off the stage, then you got to find out how does this work on the stage, right? You got to find out who you are on the stage, and then those two people kind of merge in some ways, right? I seen this one thing where it said like, first you start, then you practice, then you master, then you become. You just kind of feel it. Like, okay, I'm just it. Like, I'm just a comedian now. It's just who I am when I'm on that stage. It's not like, okay, I'm gonna do my best to be a comedian. It's just kind of who you become.
Right.
And you really only get there just by just constantly doing it and just constantly just trying to get better at just being and like figuring out who you are on that stage and taking advice, whatever makes sense to you, and watching. You got to kind of make sure you're not picking up bad habits too, right? You want to make sure you're going to see performances and being inspired, etc. And you know, you just kind of just mold into this your own artist as yourself. But a lot of that comes from, you know, watching other art, man, you know, and not just stand up. Like, go watch a movie, go watch acting, go watch a play, just music, whatever. It all adds to you, you know.
Yeah.
And just like I said before, like, experience life. The more, you know, of a person you become, the more you are on stage. I remember I was talking to one friend, because he'll see me, like, you know, I'll go into like a hood room, as he'll call it, and I'll kill it.
Yeah.
I'll go into like some very buttoned up room, some bourbon area, and I'll kill it. And he was like, how you do that? It's like, bro, it's just, if you want to be able to like relate to everybody, well, go meet everybody. Yeah. Go talk to people. Go befriend people, you know. Go learn about people. And then it just kind of becomes, that knowledge becomes who you are. And then you just, you know, you don't have to think about it. Just talk now. Yeah, that's a skill that I think is only obtained in a genuine fashion. Period. You know, by actually being out there and living and surrounding yourself, put yourself in different situations with different people. Yeah, all facts. No, man, that's good. Yeah, man, I know you got to roll, so let's wrap it up, dude. All right, guys, thanks for coming out, man. I appreciate it. Chinedu Unaka, look at this sold-out crowd here. That's right, man. Yeah. You can loop that, right? Ruckus. The ruckus, man. One at a time, one at a time. Yeah, you're going to be doing an autograph signing for 3 seconds. Right. That's all it's going to take, yeah, no doubt. All right, man. Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah, dude. All right, man.